hiding. We're gonna keep reading Marissa. A daring plan. Rachel looked around. Every head was bent low over the drawing paper. No one was looking at her. It was now or never. She took a deep breath and swooped downward to the pencil case, but just at the moment, one of the goblins looked up and saw her. Fairy, he hissed, slapping his hands down on the pencil case. Time to get out of here. He zipped it shut and climbed across the table, trying to reach the door. The other goblin followed him, and the fairies ducked under the table. They zoomed around the legs of their classmates, trying to stay out of sight and keep up with the goblins. Suddenly, they heard a deep voice shout, "Stop!" It was Mr. Rita. He heard someone very angry, but the goblin froze. "How dare you climb into the tables?" exclaimed Mr. Beaker. His voice was very loud. Now that the girls were so small, he started to scold the goblins and the fairies is under the table beside them. "This is our last chance," Christy whispered. Look. She pointed up at the goblin who was holding the pencil case under the table. Moving as quickly as they could, Rachel and Christy eager closer to the pencil case. They picked up a metal zipper and started to open the door slowly. The girls could only hope that the goblin wouldn't feel the movement until it was too late. Marissa waited until the open was big enough to fit through. Then she ducked inside. Christy and Rachel held their breath and waited, and then a little fairy came zooming out with a star badge catched in her hand and had already shunned back to Fairy's eyes. "We've got it," she said in an excited whisper. Come on back to the beanstalk." When they were safely behind the beanstalk again, a wave of Marissa's wand transformed Christy and Rachel back into humans. "Thank you both for helping me today," she said, her badge back on her dress and her eyes brimming with happy tears. Now the young fairies will be able to enjoy their science lessons. It was our pleasure," said Christy, smiling, "and tell the other school day fairies that were ready to help them too," said Rachel. "Bye, Marissa." The little fairy waved her hand and then disappeared in a poof of fairy dust. Rachel peeked out from behind the beanstalk. Mr. Beaker still couldn't see the goblins. We can sneak back to our table now. Mr. Beaker sent the goblins back to their table and told them to keep drawing. A few seconds later, when he looked around the room, Christy and Rachel were working on a planned picture together. It was as if they had never left their seats. At the end of the lesson, Mr. Beaker came to take a look at the girls' work. They had made a stem and leaves, as well as some other parts of the plants. Christy had added a colorful rainbow over the top. This is excellent, Rachel and Christy, said Mr. Beaker. This deserves a gold star. I'm going to include it in the special display for school. Amelia, Ellie smiled at the girls and congratulating them, but the goblins were jealous. Just what about ours? They said. Ours is the best. They held up the pictures, but it just looked like a green scrabble. Well, at least you tried your best, said Mr. Beaker. The first goblin took 1 second as hard as a round fell his chair. Where's the magic badge? The girl heard him hiss. You lost it? You lost it, snapped the other one. While they were going around, there was a knock on the classroom door, and the Johnson Watson. What are all these giant plants? He asked. Mr. Beaker turned to point at the beanstalks. They found that they had both shrunk to the size of small potted plants. His mouth fell open, but they were huge, he exclaimed. They looked so tall. They were enormous. They filled up half of the room. They were like trees. The students laughed. Well, there's only one explanation, he said. There must have been magic beanstalks. He walked out, still shaking his head at Christy, and Rachel and Christy shared a secret smile. They had no idea that he was absolutely right. I wonder if there will be more fairy magic waiting for us tomorrow, said Rachel as they cleaned up the pot and the pencil case. I hope so, said Christy. There are still more fairy badges to find, and I'm really looking forward to meeting the other school day fairies very soon. And that's the last of the book. We are done reading most of the Science Fairy. I am going to go show you the book that we're going to read tomorrow first. We're going to read this one, Issa the Ice Star Fairy. I just got it yesterday. She's a Showtime's fairy, and her sisters are these people, and the only name that I remember is Taylor the Town Show Fairy. She's right here. And this is her. So, I can't wait to read this book with you next time. Bye.